Just before 1 o'clock, talking with our legislative roundtable, fresh off a very tough session. I think we can all agree on that. And I thank them, all of them, for coming in studio today during this holiday weekend. They continue to work for all of us Minnesotans. And let me run down who they are. Representative Dennis Smith is here. He is GOP from Maple Grove, District 34B. Senator Melisa Franzen is here, DFL from Edina and Bloomington, District 49. Representative Tony Albright, GOP from Prior Lake, District 55B, and Senator Susan Kent, DFL from Woodbury, District 53. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. I promised Bonnie, the activist who I was speaking with before the break, that I would start by asking you about universal background checks, just the fact that the gun piece didn't really get taken care of. Senator Kent, do you want to start with that one?
I had the chance to hear Bonnie, and I thought she made some really great points. One thing I would clarify is some people refer to it as universal background checks. It's really not. It's just expanding the existing background check system that we have at normal retail transactions to different types of transactions. It does not affect gifts within a family or a state, that kind of thing. But her point is overall right, that there is tremendous public support among gun owners, non-gun owners across the state for both expanded background checks and the red flag provision.
So, Representative Albright, why didn't it happen this session?
Well, I think for a number of reasons. If you take a look at the provisions of the Second Amendment and what we already have on the books, Minnesota has some of the strongest gun control measures in the nation. And to move forward on any of those without infringing or abridging the Second Amendment, I think that's what the GOP was very leery of and very concerned about in terms of infringing upon those rights.
When you hear, Representative Smith, people like Bonnie, an activist, and other ones of your constituents talking with you and saying, listen, there's a lot of mass agreement on this. Can you understand the frustration when there's no change in the law or they're still seeing events like what happened in Texas and all these tragic events of recent months?
Right. No, I certainly can. It is something we need to address in our society, but I think the problem is bigger than the background check. As Minority Leader Bach said that we have universal background checks now with the exception of when I sell my handgun or a shotgun to my neighbor. And that isn't where the source of this problem. So there's other issues that we have that in order for us to totally, to really address this issue and to make these mass shootings go away. And monitoring the sale of my shotgun to my neighbor I don't think is part of the solution, and I think it's counterproductive.
All right, we have some texts coming in. Our text line 81807 if you have some questions directly for our representatives and senators in studio today. But let's first of all talk about these vetoes. I mean, I looked at a lot of material. I was listening to on our air as well as watching on TV, just all the different headlines that came out of close of session and then the vetoes on Wednesday from Governor Dayton. Senator Franzen, nobody is happy with how things kind of ended, some calling it a failure, some calling it ending in shambles. What is your take? Because this is part of your yearly routine being on this legislature.
Well, Roshini, I think there was a lot of missed opportunities this session. I've been there 6 years, and I've never felt so unproductive. There were missed opportunities with gun control. We didn't even have a debate. We didn't have a committee hearing on any of the bills. So whether you are for or against any of these bills, we didn't even owe the public a public discourse on committee. So missed opportunities to even have a discussion. On the tax bill in particular, I serve on the tax committee. This is my second year, and we needed to pass conformity. But I think we overreached in terms of the bills that we sent to the governor, and it was no surprise, and I was not happy that it did not get done. But conformity is a big issue. I was at the Eden Prairie Chamber a few days ago, and people were mad or angry. And after we discussed what other things were included in the tax bill, they reached out and said, I get why the governor vetoed these bills. But for the most part, conformity needed to happen. It's going to be a really big pain for taxpayers next year, and that's our job, and we missed a big opportunity to deliver on that.
All right, I have to share a text with you, Senator Franzen, because you and I get attacked in this text, and I normally wouldn't share something like this, but I think we have an opportunity here with these four legislators in studio to shed some enlightenment. I don't know what this person is referring to, Senator Franzen, but this is the text. Having Senator Franzen, and they messed up your first name, on your show to talk big guns, a woman who has openly viciously attacked teenage children students in her district, shows that you are out of touch of the situation. Now they're attacking me. You may cry victim because you're Asian. You are part of the problem. Please, I beg you understand that. Well, as I've said to many people, my husband included, you don't want a gun in my hand. I'm a klutz. No good would come of that. So I won't own a gun, but that is my choice. The Second Amendment protects me if I follow the laws and want to, right, Senator Kent? So I want to give you the opportunity to maybe shed some light because I'm very troubled by this text. And I don't know what they're talking about. In the years now that you've been coming on my show since you were first elected, I don't ever remember you attacking teenage children in your district.
I don't recall that as well. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. Certainly on the issue of gun control, I think we owe the debate. I'm an attorney. I took an oath when I became an attorney to abide by our Constitution, and I believe in the Second Amendment. But again, no right is absolute. There's freedom of speech. We tried to curtail that in some of the bills that we talked about in the Senate, including one with maybe this is where it's coming from, academic balance, which was the notion of really muscling and putting a stopgap, if you will, or not allowing teachers to discuss controversial issues in the classroom. And I was very adamantly opposed to that legislation. I trust our teachers, and I don't think there needs to be room in our teaching profession for discourse and to teach our students respect, and it has to be moderated. And I believe our teachers are the best equipped professionals to do so. So if that's the case, if that's what the text is referring to, but I never want to demonize one position or the other. I have a lot of respect. I've worked with people in this
on this very
roundtable with Representative Albright on issues that are that could be controversial, but we find a way to find common ground and move forward. And that's been my approach. I'm a bipartisan, moderate Democrat, and I'm very proud to be able to say I voted for the Democratic Party a lot of times, and sometimes I vote with the Republican Party on some bills.
Representative Albright, I want to follow up on that. The tax bill and education are two of your key issues, but I think the bigger piece here is, was there enough crossing of the aisle, kind of bipartisanship happening this past session?
Both bills passed with bipartisan efforts from both sides of the aisle. And so it's disappointing that the governor would deem it an inappropriate action to sign that into law. You take a look at what everyone in Minnesota is going to be facing come January. Uncertainty over how to file their taxes. And this not only is about individuals, but dare I say even the businesses. How are they going to, for small corporations, LLCs, Subchapter S, how are they going to file their taxes when we don't even know how to file, or what documents, what papers, what forms are going to be necessary to conform? So I think to Senator Franzen's earlier comment, we definitely missed an opportunity here. One, for true reform of our tax code, first time in 20 years. To reduce taxes for the low and middle income taxpayers, but also give businesses an opportunity to reinvest in their corporations, in their companies, to employ more people, and to move the state ahead. So, yeah, there was a missed opportunity, I think, and the governor should really think about what he's done.
We're getting some calls, many texts. Mike from Apple Valley is on the line. Hi, Mike. Thanks for calling. What's your comment or question?
Well, I have a quick comment. My comment is this. Anytime anybody brings a proposal, either to the House or to the Senate in the state, state of Minnesota, if they would add, please, the answer to the following questions. How much does it cost, and who's going to pay for it? It would be so much clearer.
Doesn't that happen now, Senator Kent?
Yes, it actually does. We every time that's a question that comes up all the time. How much does it cost? There are very formal analyses that go through, and it gets figured out who will be paying the cost. Is it something that comes from the general fund? Is it something that comes, for example, would we be asking our school districts or our cities and counties to pay for it? That's all spelled out.
All right. Here's one thing I want to ask of the Republicans. So, the Republicans are pointing at Governor Dayton. Governor Dayton's pointing back at the legislature, but also taking some of the blame. I was running with my team this morning, North Star Running, and one of the people said to me when I said you four were coming on, but the governor told the legislature days in advance, give me a bill that has X, I'll veto X. So you gave him a bill that had X, he vetoed X. So I just have to ask you, because you're the opposing party of the governor, did you not think he was being serious?
Well, in Minnesota right now, we have divided government, and that doesn't mean that the governor gets everything that he or she wants, that we need to work together. When the first bill was sent over to the governor, he sent back a letter with 123, I believe, items that he wanted out of the supplemental bill. And over 60% of those items were taken out and addressed. And that's why the Republicans feel that we met him way more than halfway on this. We have divided government. He doesn't get everything he wants. That was a reasonable bill, and he missed an opportunity to move this state forward, and that is too bad.
All right, I want to get more into that when we come back. We have to take a quick break, and then more with our roundtable of Representative Dennis Smith, Senator Melisa Franzen, Representative Tony Albright, and Senator Susan Kent. Roshini Rajkumar back with you. We are talking with our legislative roundtable of Representative Dennis Smith, Senator Melisa Franzen, Representative Tony Albright, and Senator Susan Kent. If you've noticed, we have 2 from the GOP and 2 from the DFL. We try to be as fair as possible, and we also welcome anyone who's listening to us from their boats, their cabins. You can be listening all over the state and the region, and we've got some final texts as we wind down with our 4 legislators today. One person says, you bet we have divided government. That's the problem. Why can't they do what's best for the average person, not big business and billionaires? On that note, I want to ask each of you, what was something you did accomplish this session? Senator Susan Kent.
Well, unfortunately, much as was indicated by that text, not enough. And a lot of that has to do with the attention to the special interests and not what Minnesotans really were asking for. But in terms of staying on a good note, the one thing I will point to that we did do well and needed badly to be done was to take care of pensions, our retirement commitments that we've made to people. It was a really great
And that has
compromise.
an effect on roughly how many people?
Tens of thousands.
Okay.
And but it also affects the entire state because we carry that as a liability on our balance sheet. And so it helps us with good bond ratings and credit and that kind of thing. So it's important for all of us.
Representative Dennis Smith.
I have a 2-part answer. Part one is the bonding bill, and there's school safety in there as well as many.
And we're waiting to hear what the governor has to say about that.
And I'm very hopeful that he signs it, and he doesn't line item veto some of the critical projects in there for our construction around the Twin Cities and specifically. And also the notary bill, a bill that I was able to chief author. You're going to be able to get a notary from your kitchen table or your office without leaving that office with a smartphone. It's revolutionary.
All right. We'll look into that one. Senator Franzen, he got it in. So
Well, I actually got 2 bills passed that I authored, which is hard to do when you're not in control. But the one things that we did on a bipartisan level that I was proud of was child care assistance and some of the conformity issues and reducing regulatory just burdens for child care providers because it's one of the most expensive states for child care. So I was proud that we were able to do that bipartisanly.
All right. Representative Albright.
You know, the theme is with this weekend is thanking those that took care of ourselves, took care of us. We passed pretty comprehensive and broad-reaching work comp reform measures that included PTSD for first emergency responders. But we also took a first step at reforming the child care industry with reforms there for those that are taking care of the little ones amongst us. So I think for all of the rhetoric about, the things of the big nature that we left on the table or left kind of in limbo, we did some good things on the little scale that will move the state forward as well.
All right. In our remaining literally minute 30, what do you hope happens, Senator Kent, as you're waiting on Governor Dayton and the bonding bill? What's kind of the number one thing you hope gets saved and gets to go through?
I have my criticisms of that bonding bill. I think we could have done better for Minnesota. It would have created jobs. It would take care of important assets, and that would be good for us fiscally. I'm not going to second guess what he's going to do, but I hope he will pass the bonding bill.
All right. Representative Smith.
The $25 million for school safety. We need to keep our children safe. That's a big part of it.
Absolutely. Senator Franzen.
Well, elder abuse and opioids, we actually didn't do hardly anything, if nothing at all, on both issues. And I think we need to have a second stab at the tax conformity bill. That's a clean bill to deal with people's taxes next year.
All right. And Representative Albright.
Mental health crisis centers, we put $30 million in there for communities across the state to address the concerns that are really ravaging our community. So we're hopeful that carries through and Governor signs it.
I thank all four of you for taking time out of your Memorial Holiday weekend and being here. I know it's important to you. My guess is you want constituents to reach out to you. What's the easiest way? Is it going to your website? You're all on Twitter, I know, because I tagged you. But any comments on just your feelings about constituents reaching out?
Absolutely. And one of the great things about our legislature is you can go to house.mn or senate.mn and find out who your representatives are real easily and find our phone numbers or email.
And folks, you really are part of this conversation. If you don't know who your representative or senator is or are, that's on you. So go find out. Senator Kent has just given you a real easy way. Thank you all. Happy holiday weekend. We'll have you back.